Previously on Player 1 Start. The Atari ones are meh. That's Luke Skywalker. Why is his hair black? His hair is blonde in the cutscene and on the cover of the cartridge. Why am I already fighting Vader? What the flip just happened? I'm not sure what relationship this has to the Star Wars universe, but I'm assuming the United States Capitol building wasn't part of it. Darth Vader turns into a shark.
So, moving ahead a few years later, we get our first Star Wars release here in North America just before the Super Nintendo was released.
Watch out for that guy on the right.
The boy, where is he?
Hey, here we go. Mom, ever heard of Narnia?
Star Wars.
Star Wars was released for the Famicom in Japan on November 15th of 1991 by Victor Interactive Software, and by JVC for the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America in November of 1991. It eventually made its way to Europe in March of 1992. Two versions for handheld game consoles were released. The Game Boy port was developed by NMS Software and published by Capcom. A Game Gear port was developed by Tiertex Design Studios and published by US Gold, released in 1993. A Sega Master System version was also released. The object of the game is close to the storyline of A New Hope, where the user, playing Luke, has to pilot a land speeder around Tatooine. He first has to collect R2-D2 from the Sandcrawler. Then find Obi-Wan Kenobi from a cave. And Han Solo from the Mos Eisley Bar. After assembling all the characters, the user navigates the Millennium Falcon through an asteroid field to the Death Star. The player must find shields to the Millennium Falcon to withstand the asteroid field in the Tatooine levels. Once arriving at the Death Star, the player is required to destroy the tractor beam generator, rescue Princess Leia, then proceed to destroy the Death Star with the Rebel fighters. Each character in the game has different attributes. Han Solo and Leia can be used to replace Luke in gameplay, but unlike Luke, who has numerous lives, Han and Leia only have one life each. Obi-Wan Kenobi can resurrect Han or Princess Leia 5 times. Although mentioned in a few of the cutscenes, Chewbacca does not make any appearance in this game. If all goes well in the previous stages, you'll be given control of an X-Wing so you can make your final assault run on the Death Star itself. However, getting to this point is easier said than done. There are many times where I personally died through this playthrough trying to get up to this point. And I would say without the Game Genie and save state device, I would probably not have gotten through this game in one playthrough.
Again, exactly 1 year later, in 1991, The Empire Strikes Back was released.
A year later, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Being the sequel to the original Star Wars, although this is the first game to feature several levels based on locations from the movie, this is actually the second of 3 video games released as The Empire Strikes Back. The first was the game for the Atari 2600, and the latter was the one for Super Nintendo. In this game, you must go around and destroy an Imperial probe droid, escape a Wampa-infested ice cavern, fight during the Battle of Hoth, meet Master Yoda on Dagobah to train with him, and attempt to rescue friendly characters in Cloud City from Darth Vader. The gamer once again controls Luke Skywalker, who can fight with a blaster pistol or a lightsaber. As Luke learns about the Force, he develops multiple Force powers to help during the mission.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
After the game was completed, the developers were occupied with making the first Super Star Wars video game for the Super Nintendo, and hence, a game covering the Return of the Jedi was not developed or released for the 8-bit Nintendo.
Alright, so what do I think of these two games? Well, I think that they are definitely faithful adaptations, much more so than the Famicom version that was released for Star Wars. However, it is not a game that I particularly enjoy for some reason. There's just something not there. I don't know if it's because the Nintendo was lacking, or if it was the game development that was lacking, but for some strange reason, I feel these games to be mediocre to a little bit below that at best. And I think this is because I played them many years later. I never played these games or knew that they existed until I started collecting games years later. I myself am more familiar with the game series that came after it, also by JVC, which was the Super Star Wars series. But that would be a tale for a different episode. So, would I recommend collecting these games today? Well, if you're a Star Wars fan, I would say it couldn't hurt. These games are a little bit more on the expensive side, a bit more than the average Nintendo game price, especially if you look at eBay. But if you find them at a thrift store or a pawn shop for a reasonable price, I would say go ahead and pick them up. If you are not a fan of Star Wars, I would say these are games to stay away from. Again, kind of mediocre platformer games, not really something that I think a lot of people would enjoy today. Alright, well that's about going to wrap it up for this video. Remember, if you like what you see, please hit that like and subscribe button, share with a friend. You can reach out to me on my website or social media. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned because I have more content coming. I'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like, and let me know in the comments what you like about the video. If you'd like to see some of the videos that I've already done, try clicking the suggestions that pop up over on the side here. And of course, if you want to be notified when I post new content, try clicking on the subscribe button.